hello. Welcome back. My name is Kev. I am the owner of Forever Green. Welcome to the 7 Question Sunday podcast. This week, we have a very talented individual, someone who's very intelligent. I had the opportunity to be a part of an event that he threw. Today, we have Jawan Harris, the principal consultant of King's Dream. Jawan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Peace. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, I want to say the event you had at Edison Square, I want to thank you for having us out there to that. I felt it was very informational as far as everything's concerned. It was really nice to see some other folks that I've heard about in the area as far as businesses out there. My wife and I and us here at Forever Green already know Anna over there at On-Site PC. We already know Anna, but meeting everybody else was really great. I know I personally purchased a few things from a couple people. So
me too.
Yeah. So, my daughter, she loves her scrunchies, and I got some from Kat. We've already gotten her some bonnets, and I got her a couple scrunchies. My wife a scrunchie, and my wife some candles from the other young lady who was to my left when we were there. But yeah, man, I want to thank you again for that. I mean, it's very rare that an event is put together in such a way that is at no cost to the business coming out. It's very, very rare. I know just in Tacoma and Pierce County alone, when we try to look for events and we want to be somewhere, it's usually a pretty hefty price tag. And that's why we don't participate in them. We just did Camptoberfest over there at Campfire Coffee.
Nice.
Yeah. We just did that a couple weeks ago, and that was so much fun.
Nice.
We had a great time being out there. Got some sales, and people have been looking us up and following us since that day. So we feel very blessed for that. The whole premise of 7 Questions Sunday is we ask 7 questions and we get the answers, because we want to let everybody in the Pacific Northwest, and I mean, this is going to be on YouTube, so everywhere people watch YouTube, we want to let people know about what's going on in the Pacific Northwest, the people, the small businesses, the events, and everything like that. So
absolutely.
I'm just going to jump in, man. So how did you get started in the field of business consulting, and what motivated you to pursue this?
Yeah. For me, so I had, for whatever reason, because we all have kind of our natural passions, and I know we were talking about that a little before we started, just like these natural gifts that we just kind of are born with, and it's up to each of us as individuals to lean into them. For me, business consulting is something that I fell in love with before I even knew what a business consultant was, or even before I knew what knew what an entrepreneur was. I would watch shows like Shark Tank, like many other entrepreneurs, like Kitchen Nightmares and Motel Hell, like all the shows where there is a seasoned professional that comes into a business and helps a business owner make their business work, make it profitable, the profit. Those are the people that inspired me, and I would watch those shows still to this day faithfully, just over and over, reciting them, because I like the problem-solving nature of business consulting. I like that we are able to get into the root of the issue, the issues that we're told, and then the real issues in it. And in that way, it's very exploratory. It's collaborative because we're working with the business owner. And for me, it feels like it's a way of giving back, and it's a way of helping, because we all want to be of service to people in some capacity. So that is how I am of service to people with doing something that I'm passionate about, which is making businesses work.
I like that a lot. I like the thought of being in service, right? So we started 7 Questions Sunday in 2019. We had opened Forever Green in 2018, in October 2018, and the 13th of October is our 5-year anniversary. So
Congrats.
In March of 2019, I came together with my wife and our marketing manager, and we were kind of just talking. I was like, I have this idea. And I just threw it out there because that's all it was an idea. I was like, maybe we can do a series where we feature people and businesses, and it's a free service for people, so we can get the word out there about them. And we call it 7 Questions Sunday. And then my wife and our marketing manager, Liz, was just like, yo, that is a good idea. Let's do that. So it started. And to date, we have done, of the print version of it, we have done 209 features of small businesses and individuals around the Pacific Northwest.
That's dedication.
And there was a couple of weeks where we had to do some site maintenance and everything, so it wasn't necessarily 209 weeks, but it's been 209 features that we've done, and we're very proud of our features and the people that we have featured. From myself, my wife, our marketing manager, my other business partner, to my cousin who's a professional basketball player, plays overseas, to photographers and just
Yeah.
business owners
The full
and
gamut.
the
Yeah.
full gamut, man.
Not
Like
just
not
tech, not just finance. Yeah.
exactly. And the wild thing about it is, I think you're the first consultant we've had as far as that's concerned. We've had some mortgage lenders, real estate agents, so we've had that, but you're a first as far as business consultants. So I'm,
Okay.
I'm very happy to have you on with us for this.
Nice.
Um, so tell me, in being in service to everybody, how do you assist your clients in developing and executing the marketing and growth strategies that you sit with them and come up with?
Yeah. So the marketing for each individual company is a unique experience, and it should be treated and respected in that way. That though this business might be comparable or might be familiar to something else that already exists, how are we going to make it better and how are we going to stand out? There's not a lot of new original ideas going out there, right? We're all
Right.
borrowing from everyone, how our societies have advanced. So we are able to get into the roots of the business, who the business is trying to reach, and then come up with strategies that'll reach those individuals, those groups, by segmenting those groups and coming up with ways to take the message based on the information that we have and convey it better. So, I mean, with marketing, and another way of thinking about marketing is that the internet never sleeps. So you need a variety of different types of marketing going all the time because consumers exist in many different platforms and different sources. And then you also want a mix of digital marketing as well as in-person marketing, but don't close off your mind to different types of marketing, and then recognize when the results aren't there, and when your marketing can be improved. So when we work with businesses, we are trying to get them to spend the least amount of capital for maximum results. And so we work with them from the start to define the KPIs. So what matters to you might be different than what matters to me as a business consultant. So we have to have that conversation where we define what are we going to measure ourselves by? What are our key performance indicators? Sorry, I meant to say that. That we're going to use to define if we're successful and if what we're doing is working. But truly, marketing is experimentation. I could tell you that something is going to work. Any marketer could tell you it's going to work, but until we get out there and try, take the information that we have and just create content and push it out, then we just don't know. And we're learning constantly because marketing shifts as consumers' mindsets shift. So what you could say 10 years ago, you can't say today. And that's a good thing because we're all growing as consumers. We're becoming more conscious. So our clients, we want to arm them with the most conscious marketing at the least capital investment possible for them to reach the people that they want. And that is how we make sure that the marketing strategy for each individual client is effective.
I like that a lot. I like there's so many people out there who think that it's a one size fit all thing.
Mm-hmm.
So just because I run marketing one way, it's going to work for somebody else, or somebody runs marketing another way, it's going to work for me. And we know that's not how it goes. We just know that's not how it goes. I mean, that's not how it goes for a lot of things in this world. I mean, I can make a dish a certain way, but you turn around trying to make the same dish, it's going to be the way you make it.
Right.
So I mean, it's one of those things where I know people are really wanting to market themselves, and they don't have the know-how. And then most people immediately think, I don't have the money, so I'm not even going to think about the know-how. And I know that the funding of marketing and these things are the main concerns for small businesses. I mean, even for us, it's a huge concern. Like, how much ad spend are we going to do?
Yeah.
Like, where does the ad spend go? I've ran a couple A/B tests over the last 3 weeks, and I probably wouldn't put money into them again. But I mean, we'd look for a different route. So, in trying to keep with that, and everybody being different, how do you tailor your consulting approach, to the unique circumstances, right? Because everybody's got unique circumstances. Not
Yeah.
everybody has an open checkbook. Some people are like, I've got $1,000 saved up. Like, how do we get to this goal for the client?
Yeah. So, similar to the marketing, when we are working with a client, new client, or clients where we have ongoing engagements with, and we've built a relationship, we are looking at, for us, because we almost exclusively work with small businesses, we have to think about the money. We have to create plans and strategies and guidelines and advise in what is going to create revenue, create sustainable revenue that the business can create cash flow so that you can continue to invest in the business. Because most of our clients are investing in their businesses with their life savings. I mean, it's everything that they have. Entrepreneurship is a high stakes game. You're all in or you're not, and they are. We kind of go in knowing that. So when we're putting strategies together, we're making sure that they're practical. Yes, we're making sure that they're affordable. So you're spending the least to make the most. That is reasonable, and then also when we're creating a strategy, we like to reference what's going on in the market, what works, what has always worked, what's tried and true. But at the same time, we like to leave space for creativity so that we can invent something new. And that's something that we're not afraid to do with our clients, especially our clients that are in overly saturated markets, overpopulated markets. We have to try something new, and it might feel um, different in the beginning, but because we're also small business ourselves, we recognize the power in collaborating and forming groups, being a part of alliances and coalitions, but really just small businesses finding ways to leverage their size and their speed. This is something that all small businesses are known for, to work together and to generate even more sales, more customers, and have an expanded market by being creative. So a lot of what we're doing right now is being creative, but then we keep a pulse on what is going on in the industry by just staying educated and staying informed with business as a discipline.
Now, I can imagine, when you're trying to put these different unique circumstances, and you're trying to mark everything down and be like, okay, so we have these over here. Like, I'm sure that gets very daunting for you as the consultant,
Yes.
and I'm sure you've run into small business where, like, here's $2,500, make it work.
Hmm.
And you're like, well, make what work? Like, we gotta figure, like, what do we make it work here? Like, what's the goal with this $2,500? Is this $2,500 just to get the word out there about the business? Because that's easy. You could do that with
Yep.
$2,500. You could do that with
Hmm.
$500. It's just a matter of, I think it's just so fascinating that business consultants are doing basically what a small business owner would be doing or should be doing before they even start their business, is looking at market trends and looking at marketing and where the money should be put in, and how it should go. So,
Hmm.
you know, having said that, what advice would you offer? Like, let's say somebody wanted to start a small business and they wanted to hire a consultant for the first time. What advice would you offer to that business to help them maximize the value of that consultant's time and their engagement?
Yeah, a great question. And that starts with defining success. So before you even engage with a consultant, it would be really wise to start thinking about, what do I actually need help with? Because what you're going to tell us you need help with is what we're going to create, and that's we'll accept that as information and we'll move forward that way. But knowing what is really at the root of your problems. I know we think that sales cures all. Not necessarily. Not if your business is eroding profit, and with every sale you're losing more and more of your operating income. We need to look at what you as an individual would define as success so that we can hold ourselves accountable to that. So when you start talking to business consultants, and you're right, there's not a whole lot of us. What you need to start looking at is, does this person's brand align with who I am or who my business is or where my business is going? Is this a corporate business consultant that's going to try to make my business feel more corporate? Is that what I want? Or do I want someone that's got more of a neighborhood feel, small business feel? This is some of the questions that you want to ask yourself before, because you don't want someone else to tell you what success looks like for you. Even on a personal level, you
Right.
need to define some of that before so that you can hold them accountable. Because as a business owner, small businesses specifically with very limited capacity, smaller teams, you can't do everything yourself. You are going to have to bring people in, consultants and people that work on the outside, business service providers. We are ad hoc teams. We work on a project basis, but we're a part of your team. You bring us in, we solve a problem, and because you're a small business, you don't need us full time, and you don't need us forever. No business consultant wants to work for the same company forever, because how are we fixing the problem? So
Right.
you want to get into their methodology. How do they fix problems? And then back to the branding again, because I can't stress that enough, that you want to work with not just business consultants, anyone you work with, to align with your brand so that it looks good on paper, but it also feels good. And then ask consultants if they've worked with clients that are going through similar issues or similar industries. You want to ask that right from the jump, because that's you want to make sure that your investment isn't too high risk. And if it is, what they're telling you the price is should reflect the risk that you're taking.
Okay. So let me ask you a sub question. This one, just something I just thought about. What kind of
Mhm.
questions would you encourage someone starting a business or someone who started a business and wanting to get a business consultant? What kind of hard questions would you have them ask themselves? Like what are the top three hard questions you'd have them ask themselves before they even consider sending you an email or picking up the phone?
What can you afford? What can you afford without jeopardizing the financial health of the business? Because we're gonna ask, or we'll allude to it, but you know what your financial situation is. Do not bring in anyone from the outside of your business at a detriment to your personal financial security or your family's financial security. Know what you can afford and stick to that number. Don't go up or down, because it will be okay. You really need to be mindful of your financial circumstances, and that's okay, and that's very real, and that's an easy conversation to have. The other question is, you're probably going to want to know, like, what does the month look like, just to get an idea of what's going to happen. Like, I give you my money, and then what happens? You're gonna
Right.
you're gonna help me make more money. So our rule of thumb is five. You bring in a consultant, we want to help you make 5 times the revenue that you're making, or decrease your costs by 5 times. These are the kind of hard questions that you want to ask the consultant that you want to work with, before you even get to that point. But and the third hardball question is, especially if you're coming from a minority group, have you ever worked with a minority business? Are you going to take my business and make it a copy and paste
Right.
corporate outfit? Have you actually worked with diverse communities or oppressed or marginalized communities? And if you did, like, how were you able to navigate the intersections of not just business ownership, but also race and gender and sexuality and all these other things that have been used to keep people oppressed?
No, I like that a lot. That's those are three very hard questions that
Hard.
I think that small business owners don't think of. I mean, the first
Hmm.
one is what's your budget, right? That's the
Hmm.
first thing.
That's it.
That's the first thing that we ask when people reach out to us for certain things, even though we have it on our website of what
Hmm.
some of our services start at. If people text me or they shoot me an email, my first question back is always, "What's your budget?"
Yeah.
Because I'm not here to break your pockets. I'm
Hmm.
not here to take an obscene amount of money from you. What
Yeah.
can you afford? Like, let's figure out what you can afford first, and then figure out what we can offer you for what you can afford. Like,
Yeah.
I would never expect somebody to reach out to us to make some content videos for them, and then me be like, oh well, that's going to be 10 grand. But they're like, well, I've got $1,000. I'm like, okay, well, let's see what we can make work for $1,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's
Hmm.
figure that out. Let's figure, okay,
Yeah.
what do you need? Do you just need short form? Do you need one long form and
Hmm.
20 pieces of content from that? So that's great. Like, what's your budget is the first thing that
Absolutely.
anybody should be asking
Hmm.
anybody who they're reaching out to work with. That they should know what their budget is. And I really feel like not enough people ask themselves the hard questions. They figure, oh, we can just jump right in. We can just
Yeah.
dive on in and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I
Yeah.
hate it when people say we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm guilty of saying that. I've been trying to remove that from
Yeah.
my speech when I speak to people about things, because
Hmm.
it's not necessarily fair to state that, because once you do get to that bridge, what are you going to do if you can't cross it? What, do you stop working on the project because then you're out time, they're out time, and then you have a little bit of disdain for each other, and then it's just not a good working relationship from there. So
Hmm.
I think those questions are very reasonable to
Yeah.
be asking of yourself before reaching out to a consultant or a vendor or anybody really. So in keeping in line with what is the budget is, how do you address budget constraints and the just resource limitations when proposing solutions?
Yeah. I like to have very candid conversations when it comes to the financials of the business. Knowing that it is for a small business, it is tied to your personal finances. And that's exactly why I need it to be candid, because I need to know how long the rope is, part of my speech, but how long do you have before you're going to have to quit? Because I know that you're spending out of your savings and you only have so much, and I don't want to see people completely uh, lose their lives over something that should be a wealth builder, and I've seen that. So we have that conversation in the beginning before anything is signed. That said, our rates are priced affordably versus other business consulting, small business consulting firms. I mean, we're close to nonprofit prices, which
Okay.
was an issue in the beginning. But we've been able, because we're creative, we can cut out a lot of the fat that would normally bring the price up. And that for us is important. We want to find ways to decrease costs to our clients and go for volume. So we want to appeal to the larger minority, underserved market versus having a few clients that we charge, some like grand rates, and we just work on
Right.
those. Yeah, so
Right.
it's hard because we're dealing with margins that are pretty thin. They're pretty thin with some of our clients that are just getting started. But we personalize all of the quotes for that business and what that business. So after we've had that conversation, we can personalize the quote to make sure if you're telling me $1 over $700 a month is going to be the difference between you buying groceries for that month, then let's bring the price down. Like you said with the 1,000, what can we do for what you have, what you can afford on a monthly? Because we got to have consistency. What can you do that's not going to be a detriment to you? So we personalize it. We also have some packages available on our website that you can purchase monthly, which are great. It's low risk, so that means it's going to be a lower reward than getting something personalized, but that's perfectly fine, especially if you're just getting started anyway. But the pricing, I never want that to be the reason why I didn't work with someone. I would much rather it be something like our brands didn't align, our visions didn't work, or I don't want it to be money.
I, that is very thoughtful. That's very thoughtful on your part to that kind of that as a small business owner, that makes me feel very comfortable. Makes me feel
That's
like
good.
it's a conversation that can
Hmm.
be had. Because I just know in my experience over the last 5 years, we have I mean I do most of the reach out to everybody to speak about everything, and I've encountered some individuals who just really don't care about small business
Oh yeah.
as much as they claim to, whether that
Mhm.
be in their on their the speech on their website or whether that be via their social media. And it's just very fascinating that some of these business consultants and some of these
Coaches, yeah.
coaches, like, they're about the money.
Yep.
They're really 100% about the money, and they won't even answer a simple question unless you pay them.
Hmm.
I mean, that's very strange to me that we live in
Yeah.
such a time where I could ask a question that's a simple question that may not require a complex
Any
answer.
research. Yeah.
Right. They may already have the answer to the question. I just need either I have the answer and I'm just confirming with them that this is the answer,
Yeah.
or I need to ask them to hear myself say it to somebody and then
Hmm.
look at them as I say it and give myself the answer.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple times.
Hmm.
I find it very fascinating how people are not as thoughtful towards small businesses today. So for you to approach it with such a open mind and open heart to the business, I find that to be extremely admirable.
Yeah.
I think I
I
feel like that
appreciate
helps
that.
a lot of people, and I feel like that would disarm a lot of people who may be like, "Ooh, business consulting, man. Now I had a bad experience with that," and you're like, "Well, talk to him for 5 minutes. You don't like what he's got to
Hmm.
say, you don't got to work with him." But it's there's too many people out here who are taking advantage of small businesses,
100%.
and we scroll on Instagram, we scroll on TikTok, we scroll on YouTube, and we see all these business coaches who are
Hmm.
just out here trying to sell somebody a cut and paste product that's not may not necessarily work for them, like we talked about earlier. Like
Yep.
like they're doing cut and paste, and it's, oh, but if you buy my course, like, why am I buying your course, man? I'm trying to hire you. I want to hire you, not buy your course. Like,
Yeah.
even if the course costs less than hiring them.
Hmm.
Like, I've seen some people selling courses for like $10. It's like, well, bro, I'm trying to hire you for your hourly rate to get in your head to get
Yeah.
ask you these questions. Like, if I got to do 3 or 4 sessions with you at your hourly rate, I'd rather do that than buy a $10 course and then I have to book a session with you. No, why would I
Hmm.
do that? Like this, I'm
It's short sighted.
yeah.
That's what it is. And I like to think 3, 4 sales in the future. But with service providers in general, they're what a lot of service providers do, professional services. We want to gain more skills, more credibility so we can raise our rates, which is different from a product business where they want to find ways to lower the cost so that more
Hmm.
people can buy. We want
Yeah.
to raise our rates so that we show that we're more valuable, people will buy. That works for some. For me personally, it feels unethical to charge someone a rate that I know my own family couldn't afford.
Right. So that takes me to the event, the networking event you held at Edison Square in Tacoma. Just
Yep.
hearing the panel speak, I could tell just from hearing the panel speak, just the empathy. I could feel the empathy. I could feel how genuine everybody was in
Yeah.
their responses and in their delivery of their message. And for me, that meant a lot. I've been to a few things. I've attended a few networking events where I'm just like, I feel like they're just talking to talk
Yep.
to get us to like them,
Hmm.
and I don't like that. So
Yeah.
for me to be there and even see the crowd and the questions the crowd was asking,
Great
they
questions.
were great questions, right?
Great questions.
The
Hmm.
young lady who asked whether or not she should have inventory in stock,
Yeah.
or
That was a great
should
question.
she wait. I talked to her a little bit after that because I dealt with that when I started out.
Nice.
I kept inventory in stock, and I was like, but how do I keep all these sizes of these shirts in stock? And it's so hard to do. So we went to a print on demand model,
Nice.
which we had better success with.
Hmm.
And I told her, and we went to, like, we do a pre-order model. Like, right now, our
Oh,
5-year anniversary hoodie is on pre-order.
smart.
There's only 100 of them available, And that's what it's going to be. And I had that conversation with her briefly afterwards. I was like, you just need to set up a pre-order. Set up a pre-order a month before you're going to launch the product.
Yeah.
End the pre-order 3 weeks into that, so you have a week to get everything you need.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that month is up, then you let people know, hey, pre-order is over. Thank you for everybody who ordered.
Mm-hmm.
We're 4 to 6 weeks out from delivery. There you are. So, that was one of those things where, the questions that were being asked and the answers that were being given at that event, I feel helped a lot of people. And I feel that they were the most reasonable answers I've heard in as far as accounting, as far as networking, as far as, products and whatnot. So, that again, it's very thoughtful that
Yeah.
that's
I'm
how
so
you want to, that's how
glad
you
to
want to
hear
work.
that. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that because everyone that was on the stage with me these are people I personally vetted, and the reason why is because in our service provider industry there are so many people that are they're very clearly in business for themselves, and that's fine
Mm-hmm.
until it exploits others. And I think a lot of small business owners in particular are used to being talked at and not necessarily talked to.
Mm-hmm.
So hearing that we were able to talk to people because I know how credible, how reliable, how responsible, and how like compassionate the people that I was sitting next to, the business consultants, credit consultant, investment advisor, that means all the difference.
I also feel like because everybody on that stage has been there,
Mm-hmm.
they've all been at the very
That too.
foundation of their own journeys, right? So they needed to find the people that were credible and the people they could work with and felt comfortable working with to get them where they were going. So I feel like in a couple of networking events I've been to, it's been more like people who have only ever run companies and they
Yep.
don't really they're out of touch, right? I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm getting to is there's a lot of people who are out of touch
Yeah.
with small businesses in 2023. It's not like if I opened up a small business 23 years ago, it would have been a completely different story,
Of course. Yeah.
completely different
Everything.
time. So opening a business in 2023 is completely different than even 2018. So because we've gone through COVID and that shut a lot of businesses down, and people were starting home businesses during COVID, and now some of those businesses have shut down 2 years later.
A lot of
And
them.
I feel like when you have people who are willing and open to work with individuals and not exploit them and and not take advantage of them and their kindness, I feel like when you have that, you have a good recipe for success. So I want to ask you, I got 2 questions left for you. What trends are you foreseeing in the field of business consulting in the coming years? I mean, we've seen everything how it's kind of business consultants are now like a big thing,
Yeah.
whereas before they were, but they were in the background more
Mm-hmm.
more so. But now business consultants are a big thing. What do you see coming in that field over the next few years?
Yeah. Everything that I am reading and everything in my gut, knowing business consultant tells me that what's going to continue to happen is the prices won't go down, the prices will go up because business consultants are uh, they're starting to charge by the value that they create, at least the perceived value. So this is where you get into that ethical gray area versus an hourly payment structure. So there's merit in both. Some people like hourly, some people don't. For us, we personalize all the prices, so it's not really something that I have to think too much about. But I see that they're going to keep increasing the rates, which will decrease the accessibility. I don't think most corporate business consultants or people that leave corporate to become business consultants are thinking about small businesses. They're thinking about the big ones, the top corporate, top 50 S&P. Like they want big checks and they want to do the least amount of work possible because our inventory is our time. So that it makes sense when you think about it on paper. But knowing that I can't see it going down. I see the demand starting to kind of falter a little bit. I think we lost like 1% of demand or population with business consultants during COVID. That was it, though. It was like almost nothing. The demand will keep going up. The prices will go much, much higher, and it'll become a lot more exclusionary working with a business consultant. That said, I think governments will with Keep It Local Tacoma and the city of Tacoma, perfect example. Governments will keep finding ways to support and uplift their small business community because they need them. Tacoma, in particular, has over 70% of the businesses are small businesses, which was crazy to me. Actually, it's probably, I think, like 90%, which is crazy to me. They need small businesses for the economy to work, for everything to work. But I don't think it's going to get easier. What consultants will start focusing on as well is it's going to be AI. It's going to be the hot button things. AI is the big one. There's a lot of consultants right now that are doing implementation, helping companies, larger companies typically, roll out different AI softwares because now there's so many entering the market, and just make that a part of their process to make things more efficient. And they will charge based off of value. They will not charge based off of their time because they want to make X times whatever their time is. So that's what I see going is just a lot of AI work and implementation and consulting over the next 2 years or so when things start to level off.
Okay. Now, you bring a very interesting point in with that, and that is a lot of business consultants are looking at the perceived value in what they do, and they're not looking at actuals.
Mm-hmm.
They're immediately basing it off of, well, I've done this for this business and this for this business. That's what I can do for you. But again, that goes back to not everything works for everybody, so you may not be able to do that for
Yep.
my business if it worked for your last 3 clients. Your last 3 clients might have been in the same industry.
Yeah.
You might have had 3
Exactly.
sporting goods stores that are
Mm-hmm.
small and locally owned, but now you come into somebody who has a food truck. It's not going to work the same.
No.
It's completely different. The use of AI, I find that to be a good thing and a bad thing.
Yep.
Honestly, I mean, it could be a great thing to help jumpstart your mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You ask it a question and you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And then you're like, okay, cool. And, add a little fuel to the fire. I can keep on going, and
Yep.
you start working through what you need to. That's what I did when we were building our new website. I don't know how to build websites from scratch. I used Squarespace, and I taught myself how to do these things.
Same.
And I'm like, how do I write an effective launch for this? And I looked it up, and I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. And I was like, tell me how the best way to position this, and it told me, and I was like, okay, cool. And I just went and wrote it after
Mm-hmm.
that. So it was I'm not gonna say it was simple. It was helpful, and it allowed me the opportunity to get my brain going. Like, my mind runs a million miles a minute anyway, so if I stall out, I stall out.
Yeah.
And, I'll lose my train of thought real quick. Yeah. I'll be like, what was I thinking? What was I gonna do? Like, I'll be sitting here working on a project for somebody, and all of a sudden I'll be like, ooh, squirrel.
Yep.
And I'll be like, oh, hey, I got a text from my brother. And I'll be like, all right, cool. And then the next thing you know, it's an hour later, and I'm sitting there.
What was I doing again?
Yeah, I'm texting my brother, I'm texting my dad, or whatever. But if I'm sitting here working on something, I'm like, God, how do I keep myself going? Having those tools around to do that is very helpful. So my hope is that business consultants and others, marketing consultants, and everything like that, my hope is that they don't overly rely on AI to do all these things.
Yeah.
So
I'm not as confident that won't be the case. It might. Right. I mean, looking at the what you were referencing earlier with, like, download my courses, like, no one told them to do that. They're doing what they see other people doing.
Right.
And so they're treating things as a template, not working with individuals and treating them as like their business is a unique opportunity. So I think they will rely on it heavily. In other industries as well, but I think that consultants will rely on it, and you're going to be able to tell. I think we all will eventually. Not yet, still new. We'll be able to tell when someone is giving us something templated versus someone that really put their heart into crafting things. AI, like all technology and software, should be used to help, level the playing field,
Mhm.
because it helps us work at 2, 3, 4, 5 times what we could normally get done just by ourselves. So we can leverage that. But if you become dependent upon AI for everything, you're going to lose. Well, you're going to lose your why, but you're going to lose that competitive advantage because you'll be just like everyone else.
Exactly. I think, and then you start treating people like a number.
Yep.
I'm really big about the human experience
Hmm.
and everybody being treated as a person and not being treated as just a number or a hash mark on the piece of paper that you're marking down how many people bought my course today. Right?
Yeah.
There's so many people who put those, like, there's people who put that out there all the time, right? So, and it's not just business consulting. You can look at the fitness industry is running rampant with
Oh
people
yeah.
who are doing trying to do one size fits all
Hmm.
meal plans and workouts for everybody. It doesn't work that way. So
No.
when you stop treating people as if they are people and starting treating people as if they're numbers, I find that that's when your credibility just tanks.
Yeah.
It just goes right to the
Agreed.
bottom.
Hmm.
So I've asked you 6 questions. The seventh question is the most important question.
Ooh. Okay. I'm ready.
What's next for Jawan?
Yes. Uh, for me, Kingstream has finally gotten to a point where I would call stability. So I defined this for myself years and years down the line. So we hit 500,000 in sales just for this year. Lifetime sales were probably somewhere up 700,000. I want to maintain that. See, what we all need to do when we're defining our successes and our goals and our objectives is kind of come up to that number of when is the business stable? Because I can't just keep pouring more and more and more money into this. Eventually, we're going to hit a range that we're good at. The bills are paid, people are taken care of, and now we're just finding ways to reduce our own costs so that our margin goes up, and just creating a sustainable business and a well balanced life. And that's what I'll be focusing on for the remainder of the year and all the years coming forward. I finally have reached a point because of Kingstream and the work that we've done and painstaking day in, day out. Um, can now get into things like home ownership, land ownership, buying small
Nice.
businesses, investing in businesses, the
Very
things
nice.
that like excite me. Yeah, thank you. And that's all because of sticking with Kingstream over the last 4 years and
Mhm.
reaching that level of getting in the black, being profitable, and then being content without trying to find more ways to drive up prices or make more. We're at a really good place, and I want to keep just a balance in my life from this point forward because I've got other businesses I want to start, other things I want to be a part of, and I want to take care of myself.
See, that's the most important part. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah,
And everything you
absolutely.
do. I mean, it's very paramount to take care of your health, your physical health, your mental health, your overall well being. Right? You don't want to run yourself into the ground and run yourself ragged. I did that for years when I was doing music and doing shows all the time. I don't know when I slept sometimes, and
Yeah.
now I know that there's days where I can be like, you know what, I'm not going to work on that today.
Hmm.
I'm just going to hang out. Like
Offers
I think
yourself
I
some
took,
grace.
yeah, exactly. Offer yourself some grace. I think I took a good 2 months off from the gym because I had worn my body down
I've
so
done that.
much and I was just so tired and my body hurt
Hmm.
so bad. I was like, you know what? All right, let me go ahead and hang out and not do nothing for a little bit. And then just this week and last week, I started back up to it and I feel reinvigorated and like I can do everything. But I think you're absolutely right. Yourself is the key there. And you have a lot of great aspirations and dreams and goals, and I know you're going to reach them. You've done a lot of work thus far, and I know you have more work to do. And there's more.
Absolutely.
There's definitely more people to help. There's definitely more businesses that you can shine a spotlight on yourself. There's more businesses that you can invest in and start and continue to succeed. And I'm going to be watching because I want to see what you do next because it's very fascinating to me. Business consulting. It's probably not anything I would ever do because I wouldn't even know where to start. But I'm going to be on the lookout to see what you do next because I'm very intrigued and very interested.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Kev. That feels really good, and that's exactly what I intend to do.
Wonderful. So, Jawan, I want to thank you again for joining us today on our Seven Questions Sunday podcast, episode
My
number
pleasure.
4.
Hmm.
And we're going to be in touch with you. We have the print version of our 7 questions. We're going to put that up with the video, and I'll let you know as soon as it's up, and you let everybody know. Tell them to come on and see us. So, Jawan, thank you, and everybody listening and watching, thank you. My name is Kev, the owner of Forever Green, and this has been the 7 Questions Sunday podcast. Thank you.